Cloud. Hi, it's Susan Young, Mindful Life Coaching, and today we're talking about the structure of how we come together and mindfulness, of course, and 4 elements we're going to talk about. One is how we observe what is occurring in this moment. So I'm going to invite you to begin to shift into that observing mode. And then how we be with what we observe, how we examine what's there, and how we become one with it and unite whatever is occurring. So we were just beginning to explore about, I wanted to identify and have us remember the 4 noble truths. One is change is inevitable. 2 is we resist change. We struggle with change. We come up against change, and that's what causes suffering. 3 is peace of mind is possible. Peace of mind is possible. So what we know is that we can come into a state of peaceful mind no matter what is occurring for us. We know that's an aspiration, but it's actually right here in this moment. So the idea that it's somewhere else, the idea that we want to be something different, that if only we tried hard enough and followed this path, it's a reminder that there's always going to be challenges and change in our world. We might have a period of days, weeks, even years of stability where it's like, oh, there's no changes. And then whoop, changes will happen. So how do we build our practice so that we have more resilience and well-being when it comes to it, and peace of mind, build our peace of mind? And we've been doing that together for the last 1.5 years. So I thought I'd revisit that and talk about how we can develop ourselves but not have to change and be right in this moment, because it's right here before us, the capacity. This is the platform, mindfulness, where we start. This gives us the tools that we begin to develop, because by accepting that we don't need to change, then that allows us to be right here and right now. But it's always more challenging than we think it is. So our thinking gets in the way of what we're trying to reach for and do. And if we keep coming back, I'm just bringing us up to speed. I reminded us of the 4 noble truths, Michael. Change is inevitable. We resist change, and that causes suffering. We can have peace of mind, and that there are certain steps along the path that we can take in order to achieve, is a funny word, in order to be with our own peace of mind that is already innately here. So Krishnamurti said this quote. I was looking it up. Krishnamurti said, darn, I had it all written up and ready. He was asked at the end of his life, is everyone familiar with Krishnamurti? He was one of the great Indian teachers that came from India, lived here, and I'll share a Google link with him when I send you the recording. He's small little man who was a Brahmin who was trained in all kinds of teachings from the Buddha. So he came over to the West and was one of the first kind of early onset teachers. He was quite an interesting creature. So at the end of his life, he had such peace, such calmness. He was an excellent teacher. And they said, how in your life have you had such peace? And he says, I don't mind what happens. I don't mind what happens. So when we think that we have to reach farther or differently or deeper to achieve peace of mind, Krishnamurti would say, I don't mind what happens. And it's learning how to live in that place. But of course, the idea between here and there that we can achieve, again, the word achieve implies a goal and productivity, but that we can allow that to happen, that whatever is occurring. And we'll check in a moment with you, Michael, once I'm not recording. But for this moment, it's a way to kind of remember that we do need to make progression at the same time as we're dropping it. So if we're using the construct of obey, which is open awareness, observing, being with what is emerging, and then examining it, and then uniting with it. So we can do those in one meditation, but mostly what we need to do is build our capacity to observe, because most of us say it that when we become beginners or intermediate, we're like, there's so much stuff. I wasn't like this before. It's because we didn't know how to observe. So we're using together over the last year and a half, we're using this platform of mindfulness to create liberation so that we can step farther away from suffering and be more in this moment. And then we keep getting swept up. We keep getting swept up. Like my moment that I shared, I'm paddling on Lake Superior, a lifetime dream, paddling merrily, and all of a sudden the swells are huge, 2.5-foot waves, the winds are up. And the first 15 minutes, I did not have peace of mind. I was like just gritting and hanging on, and I was just waiting to be swept. It's called weathercocking with your kayak. It's just swept and you turn over. And despite having a wetsuit, getting to shore with cliffs and then finding your way out, it would have been a challenge. And I felt like my life was at risk. And I was gritting and holding. And then I remembered 15 minutes in to relax and surrender and let go. And if I were to die, if I were to turn over, like whatever, I don't mind what happens. That idea that Krishnamurti says. So today we're going to go back to, once I hear from you and where you're at, we're going to go back to open awareness, and we're going to bring that powerful practice, re-engage in it, and bring ourselves more present in this moment, and just keep noticing what's arising and being with it, or letting it go as best we can. Because in a world of practice like this, we allow it to come, we observe it, and then we drop it, whether it's from the body or whether it's from the mind or feelings. We observe it, we let it go. We know it's much more intense in actual life, but that's where we're going to go today. So, and then our next step is going to be, we invite on our own terms to bring in stuff that we don't want, emotional and physical experiences that we don't want, and to sit with those and establish equanimity, because we're going to be in that position, whether it's a change you've got today, such as moving house or waiting for house building or traveling, whatever it is that is facing us. And then we have to do those baby steps. So, and we don't need to have any special experience, although the more we practice, the more we benefit from it. So I think that's it for today. We'll pause now our recording.